Hi guys, today we want to talk about the response to Kevin O'Leary. He made a video. I didn't watch the video, but I saw the news report. Basically, the guy, he's a famous guy for Shark Tank investors, and I have nothing personal against him, but it's just he raised the issue about China. He believed that the Trump administration or the U.S. should charge 400% tariffs. Why mess around? Just the straight is 400%. So that will stop China from stealing American intellectual property. That make me, I guess, make me realize that Trump is not the most radical, extreme uh, um, opinions about China. There's some Chinese, some Americans, they are even willing to go further away. But here's the thesis. Kevin was saying that there's a key difference that the U.S. company, U.S. individuals, they do the R&Ds, they do the innovations, and then when they have their product, in order to catch up the cost that input into R&D, they have to charge certain amount of money, charge a certain price, right? And then, but Chinese, according to Kevin, Chinese doesn't have the issue because they basically steal the stuff from an American, they knock off, and then because they don't have the R&D cost to recover, then they can charge like a 30%, 40%, even 50% a higher, lower price, and then reintroduce it to the U.S. And that's the his reasonable, seemingly reasonable thesis against the China. That's why he believed that the we should stop that by charging 400 tariffs. But I won't get into. I think it's obviously wrong that you could by charging the 400% tariff would stop somebody from stealing. But let's just talk about the fact. Okay, I think the more nuanced analysis would be this. Number one, is there any intellectual property theft? Yes, it is a problem. That's no problem. That is a still issue. No problem, right? Although China is doing better on that because they have some domestic laws, because they realize Beijing realized that having a intellectual property law is actually for its own benefit because their innovation, their creativity will be encouraged, will be protected. So that's one thing. Let's admit it that the IP theft is still an issue. Okay. Number two, why there's another issue is that why the Chinese can charge much lower price. Yes, you have to look at the whole picture. To look at the labor demand and the supply. In general, let's look at the iPhone. Let's go back to the iPhone case. Okay, the CNBC report says that in the peak time when the Foxconn need to make a iPhone 16 or 17, whatever, the peak time wages it's about $3.70 in the U.S. dollars. We translated it from Chinese salary into U.S. dollars. Meanwhile, in California, the minimum wage is $16.50, $16.50. So you see that at least a much more than four times difference. So that explains that. The other thing is that China also having they have local clusters of innovations. People hooking together. It's kind of like the same thing like Boston and San Francisco. A lot of innovators get together. They work with each other. They localize this. So this is another thing. And then the last one is a big market. Okay, um, so they all adding this together. You have to think about this. Speaking of demand, I have reading one report saying that the conservative Americans they have even doubt. They have little trust in science. So that's another difference because in China, everybody's talking about how to follow, the science. They follow the stuff that they can make the more stuff. But in American, so that'll make it a big difference on the demand side because people care about creation, they care about innovation, they get the higher social reward, not just the financial reward. They got more social reward because people who got an innovation are highly regarded. So that's actually make a big difference. Okay, so adding this together, I would say. There's the stuff. The reason that the Chinese can charge a lower price is complicated. Okay, uh, the Chinese are not always stealing stuff from China because homegrown innovation is a real thing. As you can see that from DeepSeek, you can is that the DeepSeek is stealing from ChatGPT? ChatGPT? Well, I would not use that. I would not go that far because after all, DeepSeek is the first one. Well, not exactly in China is the first one open sources, and then they focus on different because their hardware is pretty weak, so they focus on the software. So those kind of things adding together, I would not say that the China's low price is totally because they're stealing from America.